world was still dark and the streets were empty. Everything seemed normal. Two friends went to a cafe breakfast before hitting the road to their destination. One of them stepped out just to answer a phone call, and the other stayed for a few minutes inside the cafe. When he came out, he was shocked by a sight he would never forget. He found his friend lying in front of the car, drowning in his own blood. Even the phone was thrown next to him. And the killer had vanished without being seen by anyone. Who was waiting for the victim in that place? And why did he want to kill him in this way? This is the case whose details we will discover today. If you are ready, stay with me and don't go anywhere. We will start our case with a guy named Mustafa. Mustafa was a young man who was an orphan. He lived with neither mother nor father. They all passed away while he was still a bit young. He has 3 siblings. He belongs to a family that is poor. People who don't have much, living in a popular neighborhood. Mustafa's trade, ever since he knew himself, was working as a mechanic. He kept moving between different mechanics, working for them, until he mastered the trade well. People started coming to him instead, became known for his work and this trade. He grew up and raised his siblings. And he is considered the sole provider for this family at one time. Mustafa had a friend named Nabil. This Nabil was also a mechanic like him. They both had the same profession. And they were inseparable friends. They went everywhere together. There was always a strong bond between them. And they worked in the same garage for a man. At one point, Mustafa opened his own garage, and he also bought a modest car for a low price. Mustafa and Nabil were both unmarried. It was their habit to wake up early in the morning. They would go to the scrapyard to buy car parts. Every morning, Mustafa would take his car, he would pick up Nabil and they would leave. They also had a routine as soon as they woke up to go to the scrapyard. They would head to a cafe or a dairy shop to have breakfast. Only then would they get in and hit the road. Anyway, we will talk about the details of their lives later. But now we will start with how the crime happened. Anyway, they used to go and buy some parts. For example, if they found a bargain or needed a part for a car they were fixing. They continued like this. One day, it was the winter season, meaning at 7 in the morning, it is still dark. Mustafa, as per his habit, woke up early, got into his car, and went to his friend to head to the scrapyard. While on the road, they kept thinking about where to eat breakfast this time. Nabil said to him, why don't we go to a certain cafe? They say it's very good. Its breakfast is delicious. They serve bisara, harira, mawi, and eggs. Whatever you crave, you will find it there. They basically serve everything there. Let's go have breakfast there, and then continue our journey. Mustafa said to him with God's blessing, let's go. That's it. He drove and parked the car in a dark place. There were only a few houses nearby and some trees. Between the spot where they parked the car and the cafe, there was a road. They crossed the road and went to the cafe. They went and sat down. Here, Mustafa ordered an omelette and a glass of tea. His friend Nabil had eggs with khli and tea as well. At one point, while they were waiting for their breakfast, Mustafa's phone started ringing, again and again. The cafe was full of people. People came every morning to that cafe. It was known for its breakfast. Nabil said to him, answer the phone, man. It's been ringing since the morning. Mustafa said to him, fine, I'll answer it now. It's too noisy in the cafe. The person calling won't hear me, and I won't hear them. Let it ring there. After a while, they brought their breakfast. They served Mustafa an omelette, and they also served Nabil an omelette. But Nabil didn't order that. He asked for something else, which was eggs with khli. He said to the waiter, look, I told you I wanted eggs with khli, not an omelette. The waiter apologized and went to change his breakfast. Mustafa finished his meal, and Nabil was still waiting for his. Mustafa's phone was still ringing meanwhile, and it was bothering them a lot. Mustafa said to him, here you go, I'm going out to head to the car. Also, to answer the phone that's been bothering us here since the morning. By the time you finish your breakfast, you'll find me waiting for you in the car. Mustafa went out and left Nabil behind while they prepared his breakfast. He ate his fill and went out to the car. Here, Nabil would encounter a great tragedy. He would find his friend Mustafa killed and lying in front of the car, in a way we couldn't bear to see. He was covered in blood. Nabil kept screaming, help me, my friend has been killed. The people in the cafe ran out when they heard those screams in the morning. The people who were eating breakfast heard there was a murder, so they rushed out too. Indeed, whoever arrived found the man lying down and covered in blood. The police came after being notified of what happened. According to the inspection report, they found the car door open, the young man lying down, and next to him his phone, the one he was using before. The police entered and searched the car. They found all his documents in order. They searched the victim's pockets. They found money in his pocket, and the phone was right there next to him. It seemed that this crime had nothing to do with robbery, because if thieves had attacked the man, they would have taken his phone and the money he had. The people in the cafe told the police this man who was killed was with his friend. He is the one right there, pointing towards Nabil. And we were sitting in the cafe, minding our own business until we heard him screaming. The police remained there investigating the scene. Did any of them see anything? There were only a few people there. The police were going to question them. They asked them, did you hear anything, any screams or any useful information? Nothing. Everyone they asked said, I didn't see anything. I was in the cafe, minding my own business. Nabil told the police, this man is my friend. It is our habit to wake up early in the morning. We both go to a scrapyard to buy car parts. You see, so we're mechanics by trade. Before we head out, we usually have breakfast outside. Today we came to this cafe and chose to have our breakfast here. He told them the details exactly as they happened. I stayed seated waiting for my food while my friend finished his breakfast and asked me to go to the car later. When I went out, I found him murdered and lying in front of his car. That is all there is to it, sir. The waiters at the cafe said the same thing. These two came in, sat down, and ordered breakfast. A mistake happened afterward. The man who stayed inside didn't get the order he asked for. We had to exchange it and brought him what he wanted. The man who was killed finished his breakfast and left. But his friend whose breakfast order was wrong stayed until he finished and left. That was until we heard him shouting, my friend is murdered. It was necessary to re-question everyone, as you know, to check for any inconsistencies in their statements. Because often, someone might be involved in a crime, perhaps someone close to them. Many times, someone tries to frame another, giving false testimony even if they saw nothing. And from what it seems, the case, as we said, has nothing to do with robbery. Was someone stalking Mustafa? Did they let him go to that spot and follow him until he reached his car? And did they take advantage of the early morning, with the place being empty and dark, to kill him? But why would they kill him? What is the reason that would drive this criminal, or these criminals, to kill Mustafa? The strange thing is that none of the people in the cafe noticed anything other than hearing Nabil's screams. The case seemed very messy. Anyway, the forensic identification team arrived and searched thoroughly, but they didn't find anything unusual, no evidence or traces. They even searched for the murder weapon, but didn't find that either. The body was moved to the morgue to be examined by the medical examiner. The medical examiner said that he had received about 3 stab wounds in his back, meaning someone came from behind and dealt him 3 fatal stabs, enough to end his life. Stabs that were clear signs of hatred and resentment, meaning someone wanted to take revenge on him. This is what was revealed through the analysis conducted on those wounds. The time of the crime was exactly when Nabil was sitting in the cafe, around 7 in the morning. And here the question arises, could Nabil have killed his friend? It's impossible. Why is it impossible? Because the people present in the cafe at that time, as well as the staff and waiters inside, testify that they saw him sitting and having breakfast and that his friend, Mustafa, was the one who left first. The police called Nabil in again, questioned him, and kept him in custody. But it's becoming clear that Nabil is not the criminal. So, who had the motive and interest to end Mustafa's life in this way? We will go back several years and tell the story of Mustafa. As I told you at the beginning, we will recount the intricate details of his life. Mustafa, as we said, was an orphan, having lost both his mother and his father. He had all brothers, and Mustafa was the oldest among them. The boy was left supporting them, struggling in mechanic garages to provide bread for his siblings until they grew up and each managed to find their own way. At that point, he was no longer responsible for them. Mustafa worked for a man in a garage for a while, but they didn't get along. The garage owner wouldn't pay Mustafa his wages. Sometimes he tossed him a little, and other times nothing at all. In the end, he told him, God help you, I'm leaving to look for work elsewhere. He had the trade in his hands, meaning he would surely find work somewhere. Mustafa went out looking for work again, until he went to another garage where he met a certain man. Who is this man? This man is Nabil, his current friend. Nabil was the first one who had been working in that garage. They both kept working there. They weren't happy with that job either. They both agreed to leave it as well. They actually left and went to work for another man. This man was an elderly gentleman. He used to be busy and active at one time. Later, his garage's business slowed down. He wasn't making a good profit anymore. He was about to close it down. Mustafa and Nabil met him. They reached an understanding with each other. The man stood up and told them, consider this your place. Just give me whatever, God provides anything, so I'm not just sitting around idle. They told him fine. They kept working in that shop. They built their own clientele. Business became busy. Because Mustafa and Nabil were truly skilled professionals, they had been in the field since they were young. People started coming to them in large numbers. Among these people was a client named Hichama. This lady also used to have them fix her car. Whenever there was a problem with it, she would bring it to their garage. At some point, this lady got to know them well. Even when there was nothing wrong with her car, no breakdowns or need for repairs, she would come to visit them. She sits with them for an hour and then leaves. That is Shama's usual habit. Shama is a wealthy woman. She was married to a prominent businessman. He had his own projects in Morocco and abroad. Here we are focusing specifically on Spain. She married this man despite the age gap between them. He was a man much older than her, and she was much younger. Anyway, she had 2 children with this man. Her children grew up. They reached 24 for the younger son and 26 for the older son. As for Shama herself, she was getting on in years. Her husband passed away here. He left those projects to her and her children. She would spend time in Spain, overseeing projects, and sometimes back in Morocco. Her children were now here, now there. Shama inherited a great deal of property and land from her husband. However, she went to Spain and sold some assets there. She brought the money back here. She went up to a region where her husband originally came from. She bought a very large piece of land there. She turned it into a farm. In the middle of this farm, she built a villa to settle in, but she had a goal to do farming and enter that field. Indeed, this is what she did. She started the project, but she needed a guard to look after this farm. She found a man who was also from that region and made a deal with him. This guard was married and had children. He was a well-known farmer in that area. Why did Shama choose this man specifically and trust him? Because he knew her husband before, and he trusted him, and she knew he was diligent in his work and hardworking. She brought this guard to the farm and gave him instructions. She said to him, this is the farm, as you can see. Your house is ready. Bring your wife and children, live here and manage the farm. Shama gave him a monthly salary and took good care of him. The man actually agreed and stayed working with her. As for Shama, she had 1 foot in the city and 1 in the farm. Every now and then she felt like going to visit her kids in Spain. She was comfortable in her life, she had everything and was just traveling. Now we go back to Mustafa and Nabil. When they found out the woman was wealthy and had a huge inheritance of farm and land, they both became greedy for her. They both wanted to form a relationship with her. Each one was trying to get a piece of the pie, one pulling from one side and the other from the other. And each one wants to grab this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. To them, they considered Shama a treasure in their hands. They both became desperate for her. One day, Mustafa started a fight with Nabil. They stirred things up. A big row broke out over Shama and they fought. One says to the other, I am the one who will marry her. Then Nabil grabbed a wrench from the shop and hit his friend on the head with it. People gathered and found Mustafa covered in blood. They rushed him to the hospital. Fortunately, it wasn't a very serious injury. The police came, arrested Nabil and took him away. Mustafa got a medical certificate and submitted it to the police station. He decided to prosecute his friend and refused to drop the charges. He told them, if he had killed me with that wrench in the shop, where would I be now? In any case, he didn't drop the charges and Nabil was sentenced to 6 months in prison. After this, Mustafa began a relationship with Shama. Nabil had left the coast clear for him, which is what he wanted from the start. He started going out with her, and she would take him to fancy, expensive places. She began pampering him and buying him clothes. Sometimes she would take him to her house, and other times they would party together at bars. It turned out that Shama was no pushover herself. She started drinking and partying with him. She began going to bars with him to spend the night. Basically, they were living their lives to the fullest. The talk started spreading in the neighborhood where Shama lived. Everyone had something to say about it. Some said the man she brought home was her husband. Maybe she had married him, even though there was a huge, obvious age gap between them. She was years and years older than him. Either way, some said that when they went out to party, he was likely her lover. After some time passed, her children caught wind of the news. They came from abroad and went straight to their mother. They gave her a hard time and didn't hold back. They kept shouting at her, "You've made a laughingstock of us and yourself. You shamed us in front of everyone and exposed us. That's why you didn't want to return to Spain and stayed here. Just admit it. You have a lover here." Shama turned on her children and said, "I am your mother, and I gave birth to you. You didn't give birth to me to boss me around. I too want to live my life and enjoy it. This is my life, and I am free to do whatever I want with it, whatever I want. I haven't done anything forbidden." Then she pulled out a marriage contract for them. She said, "I did things the right way with this young man and married him." And so it turned out that Mustafa had indeed married Shama. His friend, at this time, was still stuck in prison. Her children completely lost hope in their mother. They got up and returned to where they came from. Here Mustafa began circling around Shama. He was playing with her mind, so to speak. He told her they needed to start other projects. "Now you need to sell this land so we can do something else." Whatever Mustafa told her to do, she did. If he told her to sell this, she sold it. If he told her to throw herself in a well, she would get up and do it. Basically, she was selling everything. Sure enough, she sold the land, and the money went only into parties and going out here and there. She kept spending money on him until the land money was gone. He got up again and told her they needed to sell the house. She would get up again and go sell it. The money from that house was gone too. Where did it go? It was wasted on drinking, partying, and going out. Little by little, the woman started selling her properties. Her children heard the news again, came, and entered Morocco. They went to their mother and asked her why she was selling their inheritance. "This belongs to our father, and you're wasting it on that loser." Shama had cut ties with her children and was being cruel to them. She turned on them and said, "It's none of your business. That's my wealth, and I'll spend it how I please. Give me a break, stay away from me, and go back where you came from." They really went back. They had nothing to do, as she remains their mother in any case. Mustafa realized here that the one feeding hot news to Shama's children was the farm's guard. Mustafa went to him, and he didn't hold back. He demanded that he pack his things, take his children, and get out of there. He told him, "I am the master of the house, and I am the one talking to you." The guard was a humble man who kept to himself, unable to handle trouble or anything else. He had no choice. He packed his things, took his children, and left that house. His wife Shama found out about it, but he is the one who remains the master of the house now, and he has the right to command and forbid as he pleases. He is the one who has become in control of everything, and he even controls her mind. The guard went to someone else to work with him in farming. Mustafa here will show up at the farm again. He went to her and said, "Look, this farm must be sold. What are you benefiting from it?" "Nothing." "Do you have any cattle? Any farming there?" "You have nothing." The guard who was here was the one benefiting from it and exploiting it, so I kicked him out. God knows what else he said. Anyway, he kept insisting on his point. He'd have the farm sale for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. "We have to sell it and start a project better than this, one that will succeed for us." He kept pressuring the woman with his talk, playing with her mind until she sold that whole farm. What did they do here? They kept partying again with that money. She herself was addicted to alcohol and cigarettes. It was a perfect match, just like Mustafa, exactly. They kept on partying and going to restaurants that only wealthy people visit. They continued in this state until they finished all that money. He went again, sniffing around for her other properties. They started selling those off too. At some point, Mustafa wanted to leave. He was no longer satisfied with Shama, and it was as if she became a burden on his heart. He wanted to relax, so he would go to some club. He needed there to be girls there, meaning young girls. Not like Shama, who was older than him. But here his wife was tightening the leash on him. One day he went to her and said, "Look, you and I go to restaurants and spend loads of money. What do you think if we start buying drinks? And you and I sit alone together and party?" And Mustafa would bring the drinks to the house, and they would party with them. His intention wasn't to spend time with his wife. His intention was to put a sedative in her drink. He would put enough for the woman to start passing out. As soon as he felt she was losing consciousness, he would sneak out and go live his life at the bar. He would hang out with girls until morning, then come back home. Mustafa was a mentally ill person. What was he doing? When he would take these girls and pay them with his wife Shama's money, he would abuse them in a strange way. He would grab them and start torturing them. Some he would burn with something, others he would keep hitting. He does some strange things, and there's no need to go into more detail. After he finishes, he pays them. They go with him for a large sum of money. Mustafa stayed like this for a long time. He kept wasting his wife's money until he had spent it all on her. The woman ended up with absolutely nothing. When Mustafa saw that all her money was gone, he divorced her after they had spent a few years together. His wife got sick after he divorced her. She developed this psychological illness. She started seeking treatment. Not just because Mustafa left her, but because her money was gone and she was no longer at her high level. The man tricked her, moved on, and abandoned her. On top of that, her children started blaming her, telling her, "You didn't want to listen to us, and now he has taken our wealth and left you destitute." Mustafa returned here. He went and rented a shop. As we previously mentioned at the beginning of the story, he used to own a shop of his own. After he had a fight with his partner, he left the shop where he was working. He also bought a car and kept working in his own garage. One day, by chance, he would meet his friend Nabil. You might ask me how Nabil, and he ended up in courts and prisons. And when Mustafa was killed, he was there with him. Mustafa would reconcile with Nabil, and they would remember the bond they once had. Mustafa told him it was just the devil causing trouble between us. And that woman, I actually did marry her. Nabil told him I remember that situation. He said to him, "But it didn't work out. She was lying to me and wanted to make me her servant. I just divorced her and got rid of her." Mustafa, after getting that shop and the car, didn't have money anymore because he had spent it on those things. He only had some of the girls' gold left. So they joined hands once again. And as we said in the beginning, they would go to the scrapyard to buy goods. After learning about the events that happened to Mustafa before the incident, now we will begin the investigation. Indeed, the police began investigating this case. They went straight to the phone that was found at the crime scene. The phone was sent for forensic analysis. They would find the person who called that day. According to Nabal's statement, the phone wouldn't stop ringing. The person who was calling and whom Mustafa spoke to at that time turned out to be just a man working at the scrapyard. The police brought him in, and they were going to investigate him anyway. They asked him, "Do you know this man named Mustafa?" He told them, "Sir, I know him. He is my client." "That day, did you call him in the morning?" He told them, "Indeed, I called him around 7 o'clock or so." This seemed suspicious to the officer. "How did you call him at that time? Couldn't you find any time other than 7 in the morning? Didn't you know people might still be asleep?" He told them, "No, I know that Mustafa wakes up early at this time. He and his friend, they both come to buy things early in the morning. And what happened, sir, is that for a while Mustafa was my customer who only came to me. After some time passed, he stopped coming to us and started going to other people. And that day, since I knew he was coming to the scrapyard, I told him, just come to the shop now. Don't go to others and I'll take care of you. I'll give you a better price than the market. Just buy from me." He told them he actually talked to me and agreed. He said to me, "All right, I'm coming to you." That's it. That was the call between me and him. Anyway, the police investigated this man and found he had no connection to this crime. Now they were left with Nabil. Nabil was the suspected person. And he was the one who was with his friend that day. It's not unlikely that he was the one who killed him, especially since the police found a complaint that Mustafa had filed against Nabil. And before that, Nabil had spent months in prison, meaning there was some trouble between them. It's not unlikely he took revenge on his friend and stayed resentful toward him. But when the police went back to the testimonies of the people and the cafe waiters, they found that at the time his friend was killed, he was inside the cafe. This is according to people's testimonies. So Nabil is not the criminal, and he was also excluded from this crime. According to the research they did with Mustafa's brothers and his acquaintances, they learned that the man was married to a woman. And because of Mustafa, she lost her properties and faced major problems. She also has 2 sons who had problems with Mustafa. And based on hearing the witnesses who were Mustafa's family and people who knew them closely, they found out where she was and summoned her. Shama came to them with her children because they were in Morocco at that time. They brought them all in to investigate them. Shama says that she does indeed know the man who died and that she was his wife at one time and a problem occurred between them. And he took her wealth, meaning her properties, until he drained them and turned his back on her. And because of this, I started seeing psychiatrists to the point where I couldn't sleep at night. So you must be the one who killed the man. She told them, no sir, even though he did all this to me, it's impossible for me to go and kill him. I left this man to God even though he died. I will never forgive him. Not in this life nor the next, but the crime, I did not commit it. They brought her children as well to investigate them. At the time of the crime, where were you? We were sir in our homes. They investigated both of them. It was proven that neither of them was the criminal. They also searched their homes. Did they find the murder weapon? Anything that would indicate they committed the crime? There was nothing. Her children were also excluded from this case. One other thing the police reached was the watchman, whom Mustafa chased off the farm. It's not unlikely that he and his sons took revenge on him. And it's possible they held a grudge because he caused them to lose their livelihood. They brought them in as well to investigate them. At the time of the crime, where were you? They say we were working for a man. And farmers, as you know, are known for waking up early for the farmhands at 6 o'clock in the morning. You find them on the land. They say that at that time, we were on the land. There are witnesses. The farm owner was with us too. They brought him in and he told them, yes sir, they were working that morning on my land. They were also ruled out from the crime. These boys are not the ones who killed Mustafa. So then, who could have killed him? This is where the results of the phone investigation will come out. Who was the man in contact with? Who was he talking to? Was he receiving threats from certain people? A list of calls came out. The police kept looking at the paper. They found that some clients were calling him, which is normal. I mean, he's working, so clients will call him. Meaning the people he deals with at the farm. And among them was the man who called him that morning. Until they reached the number of a girl named Kauthar. They found that she too was in contact with the victim. They brought Kauthar in to investigate her. They asked her, what is your relationship with the victim? She told them, I know this man, but it's not a very deep acquaintance. We just kept communicating over the phone, that's all. Sometimes he would call me, and I would call him. Kauthar, in her statements, tells them how she met Mustafa. One day I met him, and he was going to marry me, but it wasn't meant to be. And that was it, just a relationship of acquaintance and friendship between us. That's what it is, and that's what was between me and him. They investigated Kauthar as well. It would turn out in the end that she had no connection to the crime. Her alibi was strong, and her words were true. The police were puzzled by this particular case. Every path they took led them to nothing. All the suspects they had turned out to have no connection to what happened. Some time passed and the search was still ongoing. And from time to time, the police would go to the cafe to investigate with the waiters there. One day, a woman named Sumaya, who lives in the same neighborhood as Mustafa. This Sumaya is known to be a simple, respectful, sensible, and steady woman, meaning she had a good reputation in the neighborhood. Her family are good and polite people. Until one day, Sumaya came to the police station. She entered to see the police. The girl came in with her parents, carrying a bag with them. This bag contained some money and some gold. They placed it with the police. When they asked them whose is it, they told them it belongs to Mustafa, the man who was found killed near the cafe. Sumaya told them, I will tell you the story of this bag. One day, Mustafa met me. He said to me, I want to ask you a favor, Sister Sumaya, if you don't mind. I said to him, you're welcome, because I know him as a local boy and he respects me. He said, I know you well and I know how sensible you are, and I don't trust anyone at all. I have placed my trust in you. Here is a trust containing money and gold. Actually, all this wealth originally belonged to Sham, his wife. When he divorced her, he kept it and was afraid of losing it. He said to her, please hide these for me, and if I need anything, I'll come and take them from you. I don't want to keep them at my house. My brothers are always drinking and I'm afraid they'll steal them. Sumaya took the bag and hid it. She says that at first she hesitated when she heard about the crime that happened to him. I didn't know whether to take them to his brothers or keep them myself. I was confused and didn't know what to do. My parents were the ones who advised me to take them and bring them to you. When the police investigated this woman, they found her story to be consistent. She didn't seem like someone capable of murder. They listened to her, filed a report, and asked her questions like, did he ever tell you anything else? Anyway, the girl knew nothing. The entrusted items were still with her. She came to hand them over to the police with her mind at ease. She did what was necessary and left. Some time passed. One day, at a gold market, a girl of about 28 years old came to a jeweler. She stood before him. The girl's name was Zineb. She said to him, give me my gold. He said to her, what gold, miss? What do you mean, what gold? The gold that Mustafa brought you, don't you remember? For proof, I came with him and he gave you some bracelets and bangles of mine. He told you to repair them for the lady and you told him the shop was busy. He said to her, what are you talking about? Mustafa did bring me gold and told me it was for his fiancée. I have the gold, but I cannot give it to you. I only know Mustafa. Let him come himself and I will give it to him. The girl started shouting, give me my gold, I am his fiancée, I am this and that, I am this and... The man refused to give her the gold because Mustafa had instructed him. Otherwise, he had returned to him after Zineb and said, look, even if you finish the gold, don't give it to my fiancée. Here is the number of a woman. If I don't come myself, give it to her. Actually, I only have a little work left on it and I will finish it and contact this woman to give her the entrusted items. When Zineb heard this nonsense, she caused a scene with him. Jeweler, give me my property, give me my gold. She kept arguing with him and only the police could separate them. People at the market saw this and called the police. The police came and took them both from the middle of the market. They took Zineb and the jeweler with them. What is the problem you have? He said to them, this woman, sir, attacked me in my shop and is demanding that I give her her gold. And I don't even know this woman. I only deal with a man named Mustafa. Who is this Mustafa? The jeweler gave them his first and last name. It turned out to be the victim they were investigating. They showed him the photo and asked, is this him? He said to them, this is the Mustafa I know. The man is now murdered. What is his relationship with this girl Zineb? A new lead appeared, which is Zineb. The girl loves Mustafa, and she didn't show up in the investigation at all. Daibi told the police everything. He didn't want to give her the gold because the man quite simply returned to him, gave him instructions, and gave him the number of someone else. A lady, he told him, once you finish your work, call her and give her this gold, and don't you dare give it to my fiancé. This is where the police will get moving. They told Daibi to call this number to see who this girl is. He picked up the phone, called her, and it turned out to be Sumaya. Here, the case got tangled up. A real mess. It turned out Sumaya, who brought them the bag with money and gold, is the owner of the number, and she ended up dragged into this mess too. They brought her in again from the beginning, re-investigated with her. How come you didn't tell us anything? She told them, sir, I know absolutely nothing about all of this. Maybe Mustafa gave instructions to Daibi because he trusts him, that's all. And perhaps I felt something was going to happen, God knows. Anyway, the police kept investigating Zineb, and were going to take her with them to the house, where she lives, to search it. They went with her and kept searching. Perhaps the murder weapon is hidden somewhere. It could be that she's the one who killed the man, while claiming he is her fiancé. They kept searching the apartment, they searched that house, but found nothing. As they were leaving the house, and taking Zineb with them to continue the investigation with her. They are going to run into her two brothers here. What's up, what's happened, what's wrong with my sister, what did she do? The police looked at them and recognized them from their faces. An investigator will keep jogging his memory to recognize them. It will turn out that Zineb's brothers are the same waiters who were in the cafe. Yes, the cafe where Mustafa was killed next to. These two had previously been investigated by the police and they listened to their statements. How come you say Mustafa is your fiancé and your two brothers were at the cafe where he was killed and who was there that day? What's strange in all of this is that your brothers didn't mention this in the investigation. They say that they didn't know him and that it was the first time they had seen him and the first time he had come to them at that cafe. They separated the siblings here because they felt the crime revolves only among these three. If it wasn't Zineb, it would be her brothers. They kept investigating them. Why didn't you give us these details at first? Why did you deny this? They kept pressing them. You are the killers. What is your relationship to the victim and why did you kill him? And their sister Zineb was also alone, being pressured with questions. Zineb will confess alone here. She told them, I have nothing to do with this relationship. I didn't want this to happen, but my brothers were hasty and killed him. They did it alone on their own. I have no part in this. They're the ones who killed him and came to me saying, we're done with him. We took revenge on him. We took revenge. The Zineb's brothers also confessed after a period of investigation. Let's go back now to the role of Kautar. Kautar, as we said, they found her calls on Mustafa's phone. Kautar is the one who met him first and was talking to him, but she was sensible, meaning she wasn't into messing around. She realized Mustafa was just playing and it hit her. She told him, look, there are two choices. Either you come to our house to propose and then we marry, or we go our separate ways. I am not the type to hang around and go out. If you want to marry me, you're welcome. If not, good luck. He told her he wanted her and wanted to marry her properly. This Kautar was Zineb's friend. During the time Kautar knew Mustafa, she used to tell her friend Zineb about him. She told her she knew a guy who was well off, had his own garage and a car. Zineb told her, introduce me to him, my friend, so I can see what my friend's man is like and also give you my opinion. From then on, wherever Kautar went to meet him, Zineb would go with her. He was just playing from the start. He wasn't serious. Kautar eventually broke up with him, and they stayed like siblings. When Zineb found out about this, she started hovering around him until they formed a relationship. He started promising her marriage again. He made it seem like her friend wasn't right for him, that she was better, and that he liked her. He was going to propose to her with the intention of marrying the girl. It was just a normal engagement to supposedly meet her family. But he really just wanted her to trust him so he could do whatever he wanted with her. He started taking her to his place and playing with her. And as we said, he was sick and did some deranged things. He did everything to her. He burned her skin with cigarettes, doing whatever he pleased. Finally, when he got bored of her, he broke up with her. The girl went to her mother crying. She tried everything to talk to him. She told her that Mustafa had tricked her and toyed with her. Her mother checked her and found the girl's body was all burned. You went through all this and stayed silent. Why didn't you come and tell me this a long time ago? The mother felt for her daughter. She saw her in a miserable state. She didn't let it slide. She went and told her sons. Her two sons spent all day working at the cafe, until the day Mustafa came to the cafe with Nabil. Brothers saw him and recognized him. He saw them too and recognized them, but he stayed quiet. He said nothing to his friend. Zineb's brothers looked at each other. One said to the other, our target is here in the cafe. He brought himself right to us. Today we have to settle the score, because he played our sister and tortured her. Nabil didn't know anything. Even that engagement between Mustafa and Zineb was kept secret. The brothers took the opportunity to kill him. They purposely played that game with the eggs. They brought him an omelet instead of eggs with cleave. They did that so Mustafa would finish and go out alone, and to keep Nabil busy inside. They kept him occupied with breakfast until they saw Mustafa leaving. And they wanted to catch him alone at the car. That's exactly what they did, and it worked for them. One of them was working in the kitchen, and one was a waiter. He went and grabbed the knife he uses inside. They exited through another door, not the main one. They left through the kitchen door. They kept watching in line and wait until they saw him cross the street toward the car. As he stood to open the door, one of them came from behind. He dealt him 3 stab wounds in his back. Mustafa was holding his phone in his hand at that moment. He dropped it the very instant he was killed. They looked to the right, they looked to the left. No one saw them. They ran off and wouldn't go back to the kitchen. When the police asked them about the murder weapon, one of the brothers said, I'm the one who handled it and threw it into a sewer. The police went to a sewer located just next to the cafe. They found the knife there. It was a plan they had meticulously studied, and in a few moments, they carried out a scenario that no one would ever suspect. By intentionally messing up the order to keep his friend busy inside, so he would come out alone to be killed without anyone seeing them. They returned when they heard Nabil screaming. They pretended they knew nothing. This, according to their confessions, was done to avenge their sister's honor. As for the gold, to ensure we don't miss any detail in the case. Indeed, Zineb had gone with Mustafa to the jeweler to get some gold fixed. This gold was what Mustafa had bought for her with his own money. But when he broke off the engagement with her, he went back to the jeweler. He instructed him not to give the gold to his ex-fiancée, and he gave him Sumia's phone number, because before this he had left everything with her, and he was going to leave this gold with her too. As if he wanted to hide it with her so no one could see it, because he knew that lady was safe and trustworthy and she wouldn't take anything of his. The jeweler was indeed going to call her and give her the item Mustafa left behind, but he hadn't finished his work. And it happened to coincide with the crime that befell Mustafa. As for Zineb, when her brothers came, they told her what they did to him, and she knew they killed him. Neither she nor her mother, even her mother, knew everything, and they stayed silent covering up the crime. Once the case quieted down and she wasn't mentioned in the investigation, and the police hadn't discovered her brothers either. She went to get the gold from the jeweler, but she faced difficulties. He refused to give her the gold until the mystery of this case was solved, which was very complicated because of that gold. After Zineb's brothers were brought to justice, the court sentenced each of them to 30 years in prison. Regarding Zineb and her mother, according to what they say, they didn't agree with them. But when they came to us and told us about the crime they committed, we got scared and stayed silent. The mother and her daughter were sentenced to 2 years in prison each. Now I have nothing left to say but that we have finished our case for today. We will meet again with a new case and a new story. Take good care of yourselves. Goodbye. Exactly 7 in the morning. In my favorite season, which is winter, the world was still dark and the streets were empty. Everything